भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम तत्सत्। So virtually we are at the end of this journey that we started with the first aphorism, Chaitanya Mahatma, in the first, Bhairavapaya, in the first section, and the last aphorism that we studied was Nasika Antaramadhya Sanyamat Kimatra Savya Savya Sausumneshu. So when a person is able to elevate his consciousness, I mean, their consciousness word is being overused. We are using consciousness to refer to the Paramashiva Tattva, and at the same time, we are also using consciousness word to refer to whatever individual consciousness that we have. But that's the only way forward. So he said, Sarva Nadi Chakra Pradhana Rupeshu Sabya Sabya Sosumneshu Dakshina Vama Madhya Nadi Padeshu Yanasika Nasate Kautulyena Bhati Iti Kritva Kutila Vahini Prana Sakti Tasya Antah iti Antari Sambit Tasya Api Madhyam Sarvantara Tamataya Pradhanam Yad Vimarshamayam Rupam Tat Sanyamat Antara Nivalana Prakashat Kematra Uchade Ayam Hi Sarvadasasu Didipyamano Nirvyuthanaha Paraha Samadhi. So we have done, this is the Vritti. So he's saying that, we have discussed at length about this. Through pranayama and through other methods, you try to silence our minds. We silence our minds. And you have Ida and a Pingala and a Shushamna. There are three channels through which this Kundalini Shakti, the Prana Shakti, is kind of manipulated, engineered in order to elevate the consciousness in a person. When I say consciousness, obviously one consciousness with the capital C is the ultimate reality, but when we're talking about small c, he's saying that Savya and Apasabya, left and right side, Ida and Pangala, and Sushamna, the middle one, Madhya Nadi Padeshu, Yanasika, because you're breathing through that. Nasati Kautilvyena Bhati Iti Kritva. And he's saying there, Antah iti Antare Sampit. What is that inward consciousness? And when we are able to establish ourselves in that inward consciousness, Sarvantara Damataya, which is the innermost, is the sanctum sanctorum, the innermost core, and you do that practice, you are able to establish yourself without any hassle, without any problem. Then he's saying, Ayami Sarvadasasu Devi Dedipyamana Nirvithanaha. And then that becomes self-luminous, and in all dasas means both Swapna, Jagrata, and Sushupti, all the states. In the Samadhi dasa and also in the Pitthana dasa, he's saying that a person is there. That means he is beyond the one, is compared to a sadhaka who enters for a while into a very deep state and he comes back again. Well, we have already discussed this earlier also, that in the ultimate state, the meditation different levels. You have one state where you have Bilapani Avastha, where you see reality as if it's a dream. You are in samsara, but you are seeing reality is in a dream. Sometimes when you are philosophical, the mind becomes very mature. Sometimes you'll have that feeling you'll be standing in a banquet hall or in a reception meeting. A lot of people would be coming and going, but you are inwardly oriented that day. You would not participate. It will just flash before your eyes as if you are seeing a dream, but you are collected within. This sadhaka is like that. And then after that, He enters into, as I mentioned, into a deeper state, and he comes back on his own after some time. And the next stage, he enters into that deep state, but he doesn't come back. Somebody has to pull him back into reality, wake him up. And ultimate thing is that when he enters into that stage, neither he comes back nor somebody else is able to bring him back. He's a Brahmavid Varishta, ultimate stage. Similarly, here, that fellow is in that deepest state of his consciousness. He's absolutely not disturbed. There is absolutely not a problem. Kimatra Uchete, what to talk about it? Okay, so this is essentially the ultimate mantra in this particular sutra was Grahya Grahaka Sambitihi Samanya Sarvadehinam, that we were discussing. Grahya Grahaka. There is a knower and there is a known. Sarvadehinam. This is common to all people. We connect, there is a subject object dichotomy, and that is common to all of us. Yoginam tu Vishesoyam Sambandhe Savadhanata. Now, in case of a yogi, a common guy, common students who are entering into the class, all people, the moment the parents drop the child at the gate of the school, the child runs into the classroom or to the playground where he's going and meets his friends. He's part of that group and crowd. He forgets everything. He enjoys it. But there would be one or two students who also go to the school. It's not that they are depressed or anything, they are more collected. They are not lost there. They are collected, they go in and they remember, they look back at the mother. They have a different kind of a chemistry in their minds, right? If there is an assignment, there is an examination, or the mother isn't well, the boy goes all the time is thinking about his mother, is thinking about the examination. Here you are not thinking about anything except that you have gone deeper within yourself, and therefore you are not lost in the external reality which captures your attention. And this grahya grahaka duality doesn't affect because you are at a deeper level. In this whole game of grahya and grahaka, you're at a deeper level, you stay united with yourself, and then you are interacting with everything else. So, in a very playful manner, even as you are interacting with the others and you are showing up as if you are there, actually you are within yourself. It's not that you are not there. People say, where are you? Are you not here? No, that fellow is there. But he is there in a very special mode of communication with the external reality. He is there after being fully united with his inner consciousness. So all the time he is aware of that inner consciousness and then allows that grahya, grahaka bhava to manifest. It's part of the lila, part of the play. Okay, we have done all that. Now we are going to conclude. The author is concluding the book Siva Sutra with the 45th aphorism. And what does he say? That is the 45th aphorism. He's saying, Bhuya syat pratimilanam. Bhuyaha, again, syat, it happens. Pratimilanam. You reunite with your pure consciousness. You see, this word called remembering, reunification. Why is it used? Because Atmajnana is not utpadya. It is not sanskarya. It's not that it's nitya. So it's vikara rahita. It's beyond any kind of modification that you can engineer. Right? Now, any work you do, it can be achieving something. You are producing something, like you are producing a milk pudding, okay, or you didn't have something, you search and you find it. All these things are there. But when you are going to have Atmajnana, or you realize your inner reality, your Swarupa Jnana happens, is it foreign to you? Are you going to get it for the first time? Yes, you're going to get moksha. That is in the eyes of somebody. We have discussed that earlier. Bandha and moksha both are separate stages of being in the eyes of the innocent, the novice, the naive student of Vedanta or the Shastra. Because both Bandha and Moksha are Kalpanika, are illusional. Why? Swarupataha, all of us are actually truly of Shiva Swarupa. That is our inner nature. Our inner nature is pure, luminous, limitless, infinite. But because of a kind of bewildered forgetfulness of that Swarupa that we have, that we are, we think we are limited, we are helpless, we are insufficient. So, those words that we use to make sense of that state of vulnerability, what are those words? Swatantra Hani and Apurna Manyata. That happens because of that fall from that state of golden self awareness, that self luminous, that divine self awareness, which is our Shiva Bhava, but we get our Pashu Bhava because of that fall, and that fall is essentially forgetfulness. Because of ignorance, we forget our Shiva nature. Therefore, he's using this word pratimilanam. You reunite with your Swarupa. Praptasya prapti. In Vedanta, they give this example that it's like a granddaughter moves with her grandma, they go to a party, and the grandma suddenly becomes very anxious and says, "Where is my necklace? I've lost my necklace." Becomes extremely anxious. And in the anxiety is asking questions to people. Where is my necklace? The granddaughter finds something is amiss and runs to the grandma and says, "Grandma, what happened? Dadima, what happened?" Then she says, "Where's my necklace?" And the little child smiles and then puts her hand on the neck of the grandma and says, "Grandma, you are wearing it." The grandma wasn't able to see that. Therefore, she was anxious because she's old, her memory is weak, and she's frail. But the granddaughter playfully, lovingly, affectionately gives her a hug and puts her hand around her neck and says, "What is this?" And she shows her a mirror. "Ma, can you see this? This is the necklace that you're wearing. Your diamond necklace is not stolen, you're wearing it." And she's happy. Did she have the necklace? She had the necklace. Why was she anxious? She couldn't recognize the fact that she actually, in fact, was wearing it. And that's what happens with all of us. Despite all bookish knowledge that we have, internally, sufficiently, through vichara, we are not being able to stabilize our minds, are not being able to stabilize our understanding that we are in fact Shiva Swarupa, we are infinite, we are luminous, we are free from all limitations we generally attribute to ourselves, because that is an attribution to the limited consciousness that we are as a result of our inability to recognize, to remember. That memory, that is very important. Therefore, he's saying, Bhuya Hasyat Pratimilanam. Now, the first beautiful commentaries will go one by one. Chaityam Atmanaha Shorupad Uditasya. Chaitanyam Atmanaha. What is the Atma? Chaitanya Shorupa. How the sansara has come into being, it has emerged out of that. Swarupad Uditasya Asya Vishwasya, this whole sansara has emerged out of that. Bhuyaha Punaha Bigarita Veda Sanskaratmana. How do you return? You have these impressions of duality. I am X, she's Y. We had an argument. She's a colleague. She shouldn't argue like that with me. I and she. Me and you. These are the dualities. I. The moment I say I, it becomes a limited one. And that is the problem. Therefore, he's saying, Vigarita Veda Sanskaratmana Bahulyena cha Pratimilanam. But these dualities, the sanskara that we are an individual, that we are limited, that we are helpless, that we are stressed, when these sanskaras are nullified with a recognition, with a realization that these are like the words they gave is conchuga of the snake. The snake abandons the skin and no more identifies with it, moves forward, even though that skin lying on the ground might look like a snake. But the snake which was wearing it has abandoned it, no more attached to it, doesn't look back. There are so many examples. Similarly, the jnani lives behind all these impressions, and then what happens? Pratimilanam chaitanya abhimukhyena. He is reoriented towards himself, his pure self. Uh, then what happens? He's saying, Mukhena Milanam, reunification, Punah api Chaitanyatma Swarupa Unmilana Rupam. What is that? Chaitanyatma Rupa Unmilana. So there is Nimilana and Unmilana. You see, when there are two aspects to the consciousness. Nimilana, when it withdraws and it becomes itself, and then Unmilana, this whole samsara appears. When you go into deep meditation, everything is abandoned. You are in the pure consciousness. There is no dichotomy between self and the other, no dichotomy between you and the universe. There is no dichotomy between the pure consciousness and its objects, grahaka and grahya, drik and drishya. These dualities go. And then that fellow opens his eyes. He wants to look at the samsara. But in that state of enlightenment, he realizes all that I see are not independent or separate from the pure consciousness that I am. Therefore, he is in that Shiva Vyapti. He doesn't have that limited consciousness. He's saying Unmilana Rupam, Para Yoga Abhinivishtasya Yoginaha Bhavati. That person who is established in that highest state of yogic unity, highest state of yogic realization. Iti Shivam. He brings you to a close. But the elaborate commentaries, you are looking at it. We'll look at the other one, which I always forget this guy's name. The last commentary, Srimad Acharya Krishnananda Sagara, the most elaborate. He sort of paraphrases others' commentaries. Samprati now Vishwotirna Purna Ahanta Samaveshita Chetasaha. Now, so many adjectives is using to make sense of it. What happens to the guy who is self-realized? He's saying, Vishwotirna, there are two aspects. You realize that this whole universe is part of you, that is Vishwamaya Vasta, and Shiva is both Vishwamaya and Vishwotirna. So he is your transcendental consciousness. Vishwotirna Purna Ahanta. Well, we also have Ahankara, but Ahankara is not Purna Ahanta. Ahankara is a limited edition of that infinite Purna Ahanta. It's tempered, it's tainted. It's tainted with all kinds of tadatmyas, identification with the falsity around that pure consciousness. Pure consciousness isn't touched by it, but through a false identification, it says, I'm the body, I'm the house, I'm the job, I'm the nationality, all sorts of things. Therefore, saying Samavesita Chedasaha Yoginaha Yoga Phalam Sustuhu Pradarsayan Upasangharati Upasangharati iti Nirdisati Bhuyaha Syat Pratimilanam. He's mentioned about Yoga Phala. What to talk about this Ida, Pangala, and Shushramana and all these things for the guy who has entered into the deepest core of his consciousness, much beyond what he achieves by doing pranayama. He's going to the center, the core of his consciousness. He's saying, Bhuyaha Syat Pratimilanam. What is it? Chaitanyaha Swaswarupa Bhuta Atma. Chaitanyaha Swaswarupa Bhuta. Chaitanyaha Swaswarupa. Swa means what? Atma Swarupa Bhuta. When you become in that pure sense, your essential nature, Atma Tataha, then Eva Samuditasya Asya, which has emerged in him. What is that? Asya Sadhakasya Nama Rupatmaka Vishwa Prapanchasya. This whole Vishwa Prapancha. Prapancha is expansion of this whole reality. Nama Rupatmaka Vishwa Prapanchasya. How is this world manifesting? With names and forms. Like, for example, gold becomes a necklace. The necklaceness of the golden necklace is just a name because it's essentially is gold. The necklaceness or the ringness or the nose pinness or armletness, these are names given to same gold and they're different names and forms. You melt it, it becomes pure gold again. It's gold. If you ask for a necklace, nobody can give you a necklace without having to give you some gold because it's a golden necklace. Similarly, everything separate from Shiva cannot exist because that is the substratum, that is the foundation on which everything expansively gets projected or manifested. Prapanchasya punaha prashanta sariradi pranapuriyashtaka veda sanskaratmana. Prashanta sariradi. So, starting with the body, and then you have the prana and the puryashtaka, the sukshma sarira, when everything have been pacified, brought to harmony. Puryashtaka, Veda Sanskara Atmana, all these dualities with the body, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, all these dualities have kind of put to an end, to a absolute resolution. Sanskaratmana adhikyena cha pratimilanam, and ultimately there is a reunification. Chaitanya avimukhena milanam. So you reuniting with your Swarupa. Bhuyascha prokta chaitanya Swarupa unmilanatmakam parayoga adhirudhasya paramayoginaha bhavet. How does that happen again? Why you are using this word bhuyasya? It shall happen again. That is explaining. And we will also look at others. Tasmat samana saktehe parataha ya atmanaha unmesha sakti yogaha sa tadatmya rupi bhavati. We have already dealt with this earlier. You have a state called samana, which is essentially atma vyapti. There is still the continuation of the mind in the samana stage. And then you jump to the next stage called the Unvana stage. Then the mind stops its functioning. It has no role. The pure consciousness takes over. Not in the form of thoughts. You realize the state where there is consciousness beyond thoughts. Whatever we are referring to as consciousness essentially is emergence and dissolution of a lot of thoughts. Right? It's like it's like the surface of an ocean, but there is a state in which it's a thoughtless pure consciousness, but it's not a state of your brain. You need to understand that it's beyond that. It's not a functionality of the brain. It's not an aspect of the functioning brain. It's beyond that. And therefore he's saying tadatma rupa bhavati. Then he identifies with that unmana stage where there is shiva vyapti. In the Atma Vyapti state, there is still some remnant of that I consciousness where the I is a limited I. Some temperamental issues are still there. A shadow of that individual ego is still persisting. The shadow of the individual ego is completely flushed out in the face of that luminous self which emerges in the Unmana stage, where the Shiva Vyapti, there is universal consciousness. There is no I and he or she or we. Tataha vikalpa rahita paramarshopi unmanase parama shiva swarupena vidyate. Now there is no thought. You say that what about some pure thought? No, he's saying there is absolutely no thought. Vikalpa rahita, is it possible that we can negotiate? No. Vikalpa rahita, that we can, like in the Yoga Sutras, you have sampragyata samadhi and asampragyata samadhi. Sampragyata samadhi, that self-awareness still persists in some form. But asampragyata, no, there is only pure consciousness. Therefore, he's saying, Vedyatayaha samanavadehe. This is the beautiful thing that we have to understand. Vedya and a Vedaka. And the person who knows, Vedya, Vedaka. Somebody who knows and something which is known. That means something is available to you as object of your awareness, object of your knowledge. When there is still a continuation of the subject object dichotomy, you are the subject, you are knowing something, there is still duality. Liberation doesn't happen. The yogic process that we have started hasn't reached the point of ultimate culmination as a result of this. Therefore, he's saying there will be no Vedya Pratha. So he's saying Yatha, he's saying what? Vedyatyaha samanavadhe, the Vedyata, something to be known, that object of consciousness, that continues till samana stage, samanavadhe. It is that point, limitation, avadhi, samana avadhi. Sad advatma rupena. Now you see sad advas, right? So the subtle and the gross form, both you abandon, you move forward. Rupena sabikalpa rupatvat. So there is savikalpakata in that samana stage, but you go beyond that. Jatoktam swachandra tantre. And this the couplet will also repeat in the other commentaries. It's a beautiful metaphor for explaining why the liberated one shall not again be tainted in samsara. Until now, we have seen 2, 3 occasions where he's mentioning that you will have vidya, but you stop practicing it, again samsara will emerge. Again, you will start seeing dreams. Again, you will relapse into bad ways, like a drug addict, like a person who is suffering from some bad habits. You go back to your old ways of comfortable continuation, which means enslaving ourselves to the pull of our previous sanskaras. However, he's saying, this is a beautiful metaphor here. Udvidito yathavanir nirmalo tiva bhaswaraha na bhuyah pravishet kaste tathat tathatmadvana udhrudaha malakarma kaladyestu nirmalo vigata klamaha Tatrastopi navadhyeta yato sunirmalaha. Is saying what? There is maybe some wood and you are setting fire to it. And that wood is a little wet. So there's a lot of smoke and you're struggling to set it on fire. Once that fire has become luminous, you have big flames. Will that flame which has emerged out of that piece of wood to which you are setting fire return to that piece of wood? No. The wood has become fire. It cannot become wood again. It's just one-way journey. In a positive sense, again, I'm going back to this. In a negative way, in that Hotel California, he's saying you can check out anytime, but you cannot leave. There's only, so it's a negative thing. You're going to a zone of darkness where you can retire, but you cannot escape. But here is the opposite in a positive sense. Once you go there, there is no na sa punaravartate, na sa punaravartate, says the Brahma Sutra. He doesn't come back again. He doesn't come back again. He's liberated. He has attained the escape velocity. He's out of this place. But actually, there's no way to go. Sadhya Mukti is here and now. There's nothing called Swarga or higher level of energy and all. This is for sadhana kala. This is the intermediate level of sadhana that we talk about all these concepts. Ultimately, there's all game of consciousness. True liberation is realizing our true nature here and now. The body will appear and disappear, makes no difference. The mind will appear and disappear, makes no difference. Emotions will manifest and then evaporate, makes no difference. The ultimate reality is here and now. Therefore, he's saying the way the fire doesn't re-enter that wood which has been set on fire. Similarly, when a person wakes up to that supreme level of self-awareness and self-realization, doesn't re-enter into the world of dualities and limitations and confusions and anxieties. Even though, so far the body is there, he'll still be in that samsara, all these things. But he shall not be bound by them. Prarabdha is there, there'll be some kind of an appearance as if he's still tied to the samsara. He is vulnerable to the limitations of being here. But what other aphorisms earlier have said, His very existence here is a blessing for others. That itself is a brata for him. He doesn't have to do anything. But now we are talking about a step even higher. The higher step is that he's mentioning it doesn't enter. Similarly, pratimilanam, a person reunites with the supreme nature of his own consciousness. Atra sutre sthito bhuya syaditi padasya spudam eva ayam abhiprayo asti. What is the meaning of this word? Bhuya syad, again it will happen. Did it happen before? If a person says, yeah, I'm here again. Oh my God, you are here again. It's like somebody gets elected in a cricket team. And then the press people are surrounding him. He's saying, so you have finally made it? Yeah, I'm here again. And what is the journalist? He's baffled by the response. He said, what do you mean by I'm here again? Were you here before? You got selected for the first time. No, he's saying here again. The purpose of saying this is that no, that is what is our Swarupa. We are returning there. This is not the first time we are realizing it. What does that mean? Were we Brahma realized earlier? We were Shiva realized earlier? No, we were not realized. That's not what it is referring to. That is our Swarupa. It's there from where we sort of got devalued. And how? Because of our ignorance, because of our acceptance of a spontaneity of having to live here and accepting the phenomenal reality as the ultimate reality. Everything is comfortable, acceptable, easy to accept and deal with. That's how we become prisoner of this reality. But in reality, in ultimate sense of the term, we are Shiva Swarupa. Therefore, when you reach there, you are reaching your Swarupa. Therefore, Bhuya Shat is saying, Nanu Asya, and he's saying, Yad Amusya Shivatvam Pratipaditam Bhavati, that Shiva Rupa that he attains. Tattu Asya Mahayoganishta Purushasya Apurva Nasti. What is Apurva? Punya. You do a yaga, then you create Apurva, you go to Swarga. Swarga Kama Yajeta, Somina Yajeta, all these Vedavakyas are there. They create Apurva. Apurva is Punya, which wasn't there. You are creating that, you are creating a credit account. And you are making a lot of saving of your punya karmas. Therefore, you will get something which you haven't experienced earlier, which accrues to you as a result of that punya karma. Atmagyana is nothing of that sort. It's not apurva. Why? If it were apurva, it will become anitya. If it becomes anitya, it will not stay. It will not stick. Anitya means it will evaporate. It will not stay for a long time. We get Swarga Prapti, we are not going to be there for a long time. We are going to be there a few seconds. Our years, the timelines are different. Our time and Swarga time are different. So you do days and days of punya, you go to Swarga, it's a few seconds, a few minutes. Then they kick you out. It's like it's like you go to a country like Cambodia. Okay? And then they say you give him $1, he'll give you a few thousand rupees. Heavily devalued money. Similarly, your time is kind of devalued. You go to Swarga, it becomes a few minutes. Your hours will become a few minutes. And then they throw you out. You come back. Atmagyana is not like that. It's not a visit to the Swarga of that nature. It's nitya. It has to stick. Then only you can use the word moksha, liberation. Otherwise, what? It's like a hallucination. It's like a privilege for a few days or minutes. Therefore, it cannot be used. You can't use the word moksha. That's what he's saying. Mahayoganishta Purushasya Apurva Nasti. It's not punya thing. Kintu Swabhava Eva Bhavati. It is very nature. It is Swarupa, it's essential nature. So it was Swarupa, he realizes it becomes Ishwabhava. Yatha Chaitanya Matma, which was the first aphorism in the first chapter, Ityadi Sutrena Purvam Eva Nirupitam Asti. Chaitanyam Yatma Jnanam Bandha. The second sutra. Chaitanyam Atma Jnanam Bandha. Some people say Chaitanyam Atma Jnanam Bandha. Do something like that. Knowledge is the source of bondage. Why? The moment you have knowledge, you are creating that duality between Grahaka and a Grahya. I and this. That duality comes into picture. And that is the source of bondage. Why is it bondage? Because you are now unable to stay in your pure nature, which encompasses, pervades everything around you. There is no this outside of that I. I am this. That is a lower level of consciousness. You just have that pure I. Ahamidam, that duality isn't there. Therefore, he's saying Chaitanya Matma Ityadi Sutrena Purvameva Nirupitamasti Tana Maya Sakti Prothapitat. Then you have Maya Shakti. Then there is a bit of covering. There is a bit of veiling of that particular Shurupa. Nijat from this Vikalpa Doryatma Bhavat, because you have the Doratmi of Vikalpas. All forms of dualities come and attack you. Prakasamanam api na eva ayam pratyava bhrashtum samartho sanjayate. Even though you are still in samsara, you're seeing, but they will not be able to misguide you, mislead you, entrap you again. You're released from the yoke of ignorance. That Ajnana Granthi, the knot of ignorance, has been unshackled. You are free, no more tied. Iti asya prokta upaya pradarshana kramena shivatvam avivyajyate. So he finally says that we're starting with the Bhairava then Shaktopaya, now Anavapaya. Anavapaya is the lowest level, but is the foundation because all sadhana starts there. You accept your limited existence as a fact of life. Then you are doing dhyana, you're doing upasana, and you do vichara, pure vichara in Bhairavapaya, a lot of upasana in the Shaktopaya, Anavapaya, a lot of practices, including breathing and some upasana. You have stages where a kind of intermittent state between the Anavapaya and the Shaktopaya. Those sutras also we have done. So now we're saying that this is how it comes to an end. Okay. We will also look at, it's more or less the same thing. Yeah. So we will look at the Siva Sutra Vimarshini. Evam idrishasya yoga phalam darshan prakaranam upasangharati, brings the whole chapter discussion to a close. Chaitanya Matmanaha Swarupat Uditasya Asya Vishwasya Bhuyah Punaha Vigalita Veda Sanskaratmana Vahulyanecha Pratimilanam Chaitanya Vimukhyena Nimilanam. We have already done the same sentence. That you return to that pure consciousness is repeating what we have read in the Vritti. Punaha api Chaitanyatma Swarupa Unmilana Rupam Paryoga Avinivishtasya Yoginaha Bhavati Taduktam Swachandra Tantri. Now, this is the trick here. Urmana Parato Devi Tatratmanam Niyojayet Tasmini Yuktaha Tato Yatma Tanmayasya Prajayate. This is a powerful couplet. You have the Samana stage, then you have the Unmana stage, and we have already discussed about how to sort of re-establish again and again during the sadhana krama. And once you firmly put your feet there, one thing is that Atmavyapti. First, you have duality. Okay, then you do sadhana. Ultimately, you hit the Samana stage. You have Atmavyapti. And then from there, you make a quantum jump to Shiva Vyapti, where you enter into the domain of harmonious universal consciousness. How do you do it? By reuniting yourself with that pure consciousness again and again. By reuniting thus, you become that. You know, Swami Dayananda Saraswati used to, Dayananda Saraswati of Rishikesh, the Vedanti, I'm not talking about the earlier Dayananda Saraswati, he used to all the time humorously say, you fake it, then make it. So first you do studies and you have to tell it to yourself again and again. You do Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. One day you make it. It becomes your reality. So are you defrauding yourself? Are you doing a kind of brain washing? Are you doing a programming of your brain through NLP that I am Brahman? No, it's much beyond that. It's not about manipulation of the mind because you are abandoning the mind at the end of the journey. There is no mind, there is no manipulation. You, through this process, in fact, liberate yourself from all games associated with what the mind can and cannot do. You go beyond that. So he's saying that Tasmini yuktaha tato hyatma tanamayasya prajayate. So you become that pure consciousness. And then he gives that metaphor, udbituto yatha vanyare, nirmalot eva bhashwaraha, navya pravishyat kaste, tathatma advanaha udhritaha. So all these sadhanas and all you leave behind. You don't enter to the world of dualities. The way the fire doesn't return to that fuel from which it emerges. Malakarma kaladyestu nirmalo vigata klamaha tatra stupi navadhyeta yato tiva sunirmalaha, because it is very pure. So it doesn't get tempered or tainted again. Bhuyaha, that same thing is saying, because it is Shiva Shorupata, is our Shorupa. Therefore, we don't have to get entrapped. This is how this whole thing comes to an end. If we want to do a very quick rehash of it, there are a lot of sutras in it. And so, lot of, so Jagrat Ditya Karaha, all this whole Anava Upaya is a mega chapter with 45 aphorisms and sort of comes to an end. That you start your journey, the first one, if you look at it in the first one is Jnana Mantram. It starts with that. Yat Jnanam Bandha ityuktam tat Adyamanatvat Yoginam Arnam. So whatever, it's like bhugya, and you meditate on it, make use of it, starting that journey there. And then Vishwa Sanghare Tadutta Swapna Darshanam. Vidya Sanghare. If you stop doing that Vidya at the beginning stage, again that Sansara, you will again get deluded all with that. And in the Tritiya Unumasha, this was the end of the Saktopaya, Atma Chittam. That is how it starts. Atma Chittam you would accept, and you start your journey from there. And from there, Jnanam Bandha, again the same thing. The first chapter, second sutra is Jnanam Bandha. And in the third chapter, the second sutra is Jnanam Bandha. Sattvasto Rajasastascha Tamastu Gunavedakaha Evam Paryatane Dehi Sthanam Sthanantaram Brajet. We have all done it. Okay? And finally, having done all this, we are sort of bringing this long journey or discussion on the Shiva Sutra to an end. It was definitely a tiring journey because we had to go through the commentaries on each and every sutra. But the ultimate thing, if you look at it, it essentially is nothing new vis-a-vis Vedanta, except that here there are a few details about how the consciousness operates in samsara dasa and how we have to engineer it when we are going to that self-awareness. In Vedanta, they will talk about Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Somebody will use the word prashankyana again and again, doing meditation on a particular thing. All these technical terms are there. But here, there are a lot of details on how to actually engineer your consciousness step by step. So when it comes to sadhana, when it comes to the truth, it's Advaita Vedanta, which gives you the final answer without any confusion. When it comes to sadhana, to my mind, and this kind of the other people who also have gone into this text agreed, and also they sort of reiterated and they sort of validated my perception. They said that, yeah, you are right, that Shiva Drishti and the Kashmiri Saivism sort of sheds more light on how to aspect of this whole process of liberation, how to aspect, know how, and giving a bit of details about how the consciousness sort of works, the details. And therefore, this definitely is more encouraging for somebody who finds Advaita Vedanta too straightforward, too simple, too abstract to deal with, because he doesn't find a way forward from where he is. And Kashmiri Shaiva Darshan, the only problem with Kashmiri Shaiva Darshan is that there are a lot of technical words. There are too many technical words, and somebody might feel a little overwhelmed and flabbergasted, so to say, But if a person, because there are too many new words, somebody who is a student of Vedanta suddenly hits upon this text and finds so many words, and the meaning of the words are completely different. The way it's used in yoga or the way it's used in Vedanta, the way they are using it, they're meaning something else. So one has to familiarize oneself with the nomenclature and then make the journey. But there are a lot of resources. In fact, the book that I'm referring, all the technical terms are kind of put together, saying this is the meaning of all these words. So we sort of come to an end, and so we'll bring the discussion to a close today here. If you want, tomorrow, or maybe on Thursday, if you want, we can just hold one session on Shiva Sutra where we will do a quick summary of everything for your benefit, because you have already done this whole long journey. So we can just put in, I'll try to see how it's possible to do it in 1 hour time, but we will do it so that it is easy for you to sort of carry forward. What are the takeaway points? Let's do it in the next class. Any questions, anyone? No? Okay, so we will do the, yes, yes, Sanadji, tell me. Yeah.
Swamiji, it was really interesting experience of listening to Siva Sutra. And I remember, you must have remember at the early classes, I used to put a lot of questions on the mantras, how mantras would be helpful for how mantras can help us. And currently, I understand really there are a lot of power in mantras and going through the Siva Sutra. And my last question may be on this. In case, looking at this metaphor that you used, is catching the wood catching fire. In case in lifetime, somebody's lifetime, the wood doesn't catch fire, what will happen? Does it go for another life cycle? Uh, I'm asking a silly question. I do understand,
No, no,
but
it's a beautiful question. And Arjuna asked this question to Lord Krishna, and Krishna answered it. Srimatam Dhimatam Gehe. He will start from where he has ended. So God, it depends on the power of his prarabdha and his punya karmas. If he sort of deserves to be in a position to experience the material life, comforts of material life, then he'll be born in a Srimatam Gehe, in the house of somebody who is accomplished. Otherwise, if he has gone one step further, he doesn't have any attraction for samsara, he may be reborn into a rich family, but he'll be reborn into a context where he has a higher level of consciousness. Therefore, he will have um, that vairagya more powerfully present in him. So he will not have outer wealth, but he'll have inner wealth. So, if you look at a lot of people who are younger and then they take to spirituality and make very quick progress. So, dhimatam gehe, he'll have able teachers and parents and all. Bhagavan has made it very clear in Bhagavad Gita. Even if you do a little of the sadhana, there is no loss. Trayate mahatu vayat. It sort of helps you, protects you against great fear of a fall. So the Shiva Sutra, this whole sadhana, even if we do it for a few hours, even if we spend a few minutes on it, the way it works on our consciousness is a very mysterious process. Uh, Even if you ignore it, by doing this satsang, by reading, you will find in course of time the way you think has changed. The way you look at things, which was very difficult for you earlier, will become easier, because that's an internal change. It's not to hog limelight through, you go and interview like in Kumbh and become a Mandaleshwar and stuff like that. No, it's not about that. That is no real achievement. The real achievement is a kind of inner transformation which happens here and now. You need not be very famous. Absolutely, the real gurus and the acharyas, as my spiritual counselor used to all the time say, they are actually not visible because they don't enjoy that visibility. And name and fame is kind of an antithesis of that self realization. You look at the lives of Ramana Maharshi, but forget about Ramana Maharshi, there are so many more self realized souls. We are happy and they are sort of. So we need not be anxious about whether we are going to achieve anything during this limited span of life. What we describe as our lives, fine, let it go. But The journey has started. You are lucky, or we are lucky that we have started the journey, and it's going to continue because we have already created a lot of acceleration. There's a momentum, and that momentum is going to take you forward. If we go the Because we also have a lot of previous negative sanskaras. If you give into those negative sanskaras, they're going to pull you back. So one book, one satsang, one meditation, few days of prayer, they are not life changing, but they can be life changing, provided we sort of identify with this and we change our direction of life. And then life is magic. Because end of the day, one thing which is very, very innovative here is your sadhana at all is not everything. End of the day, it's Ishvara Anugraha. You had a great Bengali saint, Sitaram Omkaranatha. He was a great Vedanti, but he sort of gave a lot of importance to bhakti. Recently, I was in Puri, so I went to the ashram and I talked to the guy who was managing it. Wonderful person. We had a long conversation, and he was explaining as to why the Saranagati, Jnanottara Bhakti, they gave a lot of importance because they sort of align more with Ramanujacharya. So all these acharyas have emphasized this aspect, and Kashmiri Saivism does that. We need Ishwara Anugraha. We need his compassion. Of course, you are all Shiva. Why to do sadhana? No, that's negligence we should not indulge in. The idea is that is a Swarupa. To reach there, we need to do rigorous sadhana, which will involve bhakti also. It's not only satsanga, jnana, vichara. When we go to that highest level, of course, vichara becomes self-initiated, becomes spontaneous. But we need to do bhakti and all. So there's no denying of these fourfold paths of bhakti, jnana, and yoga. And also, the hatha yoga and all the four paths. We have to be inclusive and move forward. But it's very important here to keep the upasana and also the vichara in an anavupaya, all this kind of engineering aspect, which is highly yogic. So you do all that and ultimately will reach the destination. When doesn't make any difference. Whether it's today, tomorrow, day after, this birth, another birth, how does it make any difference if we're on the right path? So with that, any other question? We are going to meet one more time on Shiva Sutra. It could be tomorrow or on Thursday. Tomorrow is 26th January, so you may have some functions or certain things to attend. So it's maybe next Thursday could be the right time. So with this, I bring it to a close, and we'll meet again for the conclusive session of this long journey. Let me do the Santi mantras. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamādāya Purnamevāvashyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. So thank you everyone. We'll meet again next Thursday. God bless you.
Pranam.